In 1880, the most powerful man in the world died clutching a book. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, Stoic philosopher. His final words? "Go to the rising sun, for I am already setting." Within 300 years, Stoicism, the philosophy that had guided emperors, slaves, and senators for 5 centuries, would be completely dead, erased, forgotten, buried under the ruins of Rome itself. And yet, right now, in 2025, a 19-year-old is buying a book called Meditations on Amazon. A tech CEO is tweeting Epictetus quotes. Millions call themselves Stoics. So what happened? How does a philosophy die and then come back from the dead? Birth of Stoicism. Athens, 300 BC. A merchant named Zeno survives a shipwreck, loses everything, washes up broke, traumatized with nothing but the clothes on his back. He wanders into a bookshop, picks up a book about Socrates, and has an epiphany. What if losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me? He starts teaching under a painted porch, the Stoa Poikile, and people start calling his followers Stoics, porch people. The core idea? Simple, brutal, but liberating. You don't control what happens to you. You only control how you respond. Everything else? Let it go. Stoicism goes viral. Rome. For 500 years, Stoicism spreads like wildfire. It jumps from Greece to Rome, from philosophers to politicians, from classrooms to battlefields. Why? Because it worked for everyone. Epictetus, a slave with a broken leg, used it to survive torture. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, used it to navigate imperial court politics. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor himself, used it to rule an empire falling apart. Same philosophy: slave, billionaire, emperor. It was the ultimate life hack for chaos. Enter Christianity. Then everything changed. 313 AD, Emperor Constantine converts to Christianity. Suddenly, there's a new philosophy in town, and it's not just competing with Stoicism, it's absorbing it. Early Christians loved Stoic ideas: self-control, virtue, accepting suffering. Church fathers like Augustine practically copy-pasted Stoic principles into Christian theology. But there was one problem, a fatal difference. Stoicism said, "You are alone. The universe is indifferent. Save yourself through reason." Christianity said, "You are loved. God cares. You are saved through grace." One is ice-cold self-reliance. The other is warm, divine embrace. Guess which one won? The nail in the coffin. 529 AD, Emperor Justinian shuts down the last pagan philosophical schools in Athens, including the academy where Stoicism was taught. The books? Most of them are lost, burned, forgotten. Out of Chrysippus' 700 books, the head of the Stoic school, none survive. 0. Out of Zeno's original writings, gone. What we have left are fragments, scraps, a few books from the Romans. By the year 560, Stoicism is dead. Not debated, not refuted, just forgotten. For 1,000 years, nobody talks about it, nobody teaches it, nobody cares. It becomes a footnote in theology textbooks, that thing Christians borrowed from. The sleeping giant. But here's the thing about ideas. They don't die, they hibernate. Somewhere in a monastery, a monk copied Marcus Aurelius' private journal, never meant to be published. Somewhere in Constantinople, Epictetus' lectures survived in a dusty corner. Somewhere in Italy, Seneca's letters sat waiting for someone to find them, waiting for a world chaotic enough to need them again. The Renaissance, 1500s, the Renaissance. Scholars start digging through old texts, translating, printing, and they find the Stoics. Suddenly, Marcus Aurelius is back, Seneca is back, Epictetus is back. But here's the weird part. They don't call it Stoicism. They call it common sense. Montaigne reads Seneca and writes essays about accepting death. Descartes uses Stoic logic to build his philosophy. Spinoza basically recreates Stoic ethics under a different name. The ideas are back, but the label? Still dead. Nobody's calling themselves a Stoic. That word still sounds like ancient history. Modern chaos. Fast forward, 20th century, 21st century. 2 world wars, economic collapse, terrorism, pandemics, climate anxiety, social media meltdowns. The world is spinning out of control, and people are drowning. Therapy becomes mainstream, self-help explodes, everyone's looking for answers. Buddhism gets trendy, mindfulness, meditation. But some people want something harder, colder, more rational. They want a philosophy for chaos. And then, the Silicon Valley effect. 2006, a college dropout named Ryan Holiday reads Meditations. He becomes obsessed, starts a blog, writes books, tweets Stoic quotes. Tim Ferriss interviews him on his podcast. Naval Ravikant quotes Epictetus on Twitter. Joe Rogan talks about Marcus Aurelius on his show. Suddenly, every tech bro in Silicon Valley is a Stoic. Every entrepreneur, every influencer. The algorithm loves it. Self-improvement plus ancient wisdom equals viral gold. By 2020, Meditations is a bestseller. Again, 1,800 years after it was written. Stoicism is back from the dead. Why now? But here's the real question. Why did Stoicism die for 1,500 years and then suddenly resurrect in the 21st century? I think it's because we're living in a new Rome. The world feels out of control. Politics, chaos. Economy, unstable. Climate, terrifying. Your phone, an anxiety machine. Just like the Romans watching their empire crumble, we're watching our world transform faster than we can process. And in that chaos, Christianity's answer, God has a plan, just have faith, doesn't land the same way for everyone anymore. Buddhism's answer, detached from desire, feels too passive. But Stoicism, you can't control the world, you can only control yourself, so control yourself. It's the perfect philosophy for people who feel powerless but refuse to be victims. The George and Floyd movement. Tens of millions watching an injustice unfold and feeling the need to do something about it. The Stoics would be both horrified and impressed. The warning. But here's what the ancients would warn us about. They didn't practice Stoicism to optimize productivity. They didn't use it to build startups or get ripped or dominate on social media. Epictetus used it to survive slavery. Seneca used it to face forced suicide with dignity. Marcus Aurelius used it to be a good man while the world fell apart. Modern Stoicism, sometimes it feels like Stoicism with all the suffering removed. The Instagram version, the highlight reel. Control what you can control, so you can make more money. Accept what you can't change, so you don't have to care about injustice. We took a philosophy designed for catastrophe and turned it into a life hack. So maybe Stoicism didn't really come back. Maybe we just found the parts that are useful right now. And maybe, just like in Rome, it'll evolve again, or die again, or become something else entirely. Because that's the thing about philosophies. They don't survive because they're true. They survive because people need them. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything is only for a day, both that which remembers and that which is remembered." Even Stoicism itself. In 180 AD, the most powerful man in the world died clutching a book. In 2025, a 19-year-old is buying that same book on Amazon. The philosophy died. The philosophy lives. And 2,000 years from now, someone will be wondering why it came back again. If you want to dive deeper into ancient philosophies that are still weirdly relevant, I've got a whole series breaking them down, link in the description. And if you made it this far, you're the kind of person who actually thinks about this stuff. So subscribe, because I make videos for people like you. See you in the next one.